Do you like my mug? It's got a history of computers on it. Oh, we're filming. Hi everyone, it's Jakub from Cabana. Today, I'll go over some of the common issues websites face and help you increase your page speed score, offer a better user experience, and get your website ranking higher in Google. Your website speed and performance is hugely important to the success of your business. We've covered this in another video, link to it in the description, but to quickly recap, loading times and performance of your site can have a knock-on effect on the conversions, which affects your revenue. But it can also affect your SEO performance, with Google keeping track of how fast your website loads and potentially penalizing you for a slow website. Keep in mind that getting a high score doesn't necessarily mean that your website offers a great user experience. But for the majority of websites, it offers a great starting point to help you tackle some of the biggest issues that affect what people think about your website and even how they behave on it. We love nothing more but to see a brand thrive online. If you'd like to have an expert take a look at your site and what affects your site's performance the most, let us know in the comments below. We'll make sure to get back to you as soon as we can. Some of the issues can be easily and quickly resolved with a caching system. This means that you have a solution in place which stores a version of your website and periodically updates that version with the latest changes to your site. Depending on the platform your website is built on, the caching solutions available to you may vary. WordPress has a number of solutions you can use. We love to work with WP Fastest Cache and Hummingbird as the plugin, and then we also recommend having Cloudflare in place. You can also use Cloudflare alongside a caching solution. Cloudflare acts as the middleman between the visitor and your website, adding another caching system and preventing some of the security attacks that your website might face. Let's now look at some of the common page speed issues and see how you can solve them. Also, if you would like us all to build a better internet experience and help more websites perform better and load faster, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. That way YouTube recommends our video to others who will find it useful and resolve some of these issues on their websites. Number 1. Reduce initial server response time. Where you host your website can dramatically affect how fast your website loads. So if you resolved some of the other issues you faced, but are still struggling with how fast your website loads, it might be time to consider a different hosting provider. We recommend AWS for its reliability, price, and performance. When it comes to hosting, you really get what you pay for. So it's usually a good idea to spend a little bit extra and get a solid, reliable, dedicated server from a hosting provider you can trust. It's also important that your server is in the same location as your target audience. For example, if majority of your visitors are in the UK, you don't want your server to be in California, because every single time they load your site, it's going to have to travel a long distance there and back. Getting an experienced developer to help optimize the server and ensure everything is running and is up to date is quite important, because even the best of hosting options can be ruined if the configuration is not set up correctly. Number 2. Eliminate render blocking resources. A render blocking resource is any file that delays the loading of your website's text and images, meaning the user is staring at a blank screen for longer. Usually these are heavier, more complex files like JavaScript and CSS, which are used to make your website look pretty. All websites use some files that delay rendering. That's normal. The problem is that many websites use a lot of these files that really slow down the website and decreases performance. The issue here usually comes from the amount of files some themes load that really slow down the performance. Without direct control over these, which is quite normal for website builders and off-the-shelf solutions, a lot of things get in the way, your website loads really slowly, your SEO performance is affected, and Google cries a little. For off-the-shelf themes and website builders, it can be very time-consuming or near impossible to fully resolve this. That's why it's best to start with a caching solution and see where you end up. If you like figuring things out and are happy to work with advanced plugins, you can have a go at it yourself. Just make sure you have a solid backup in place, as working with caching plugins can sometimes break your site and stop it working for all visitors. Otherwise, you can get in touch with a developer or an SEO agency which would have done it before and are happy to help setting things up. What we also really like to do at Cabana for any websites we build is to split the code into 2 parts. When you load a website, you usually have the first above the fold content. We load styles for that separately to make sure what the user sees right away is displayed and loaded in first. We then split the rest of the code that affects the rest of how your website looks and load that in at the end, because the user usually takes a little bit of time to start scrolling, so splitting the two help with your website performance and also make the code much more manageable. Number 3. Serve images in NextGen formats. NextGen formats offer a smaller file size and relatively good quality compared to some of the familiar names such as JPEG or PNG. To take advantage of these, you can use an off-the-shelf solution. In WordPress, we love to use Smush Pro. It ensures that your images are served using one of the NextGen formats, and they also used the Content Delivery Network, means that they serve the images to your users directly from their really fast servers. For other platforms, you can use similar plugins or solutions, or you can simply try and convert your images to one of the NextGen formats and just make sure that your hosting provider allows you to serve these images, as something like WebP can sometimes be tricky. We've mentioned Smush Pro. This and other plugins usually allow you to resolve the next point. Number 4 is to defer off-screen images. When a website loads, you don't necessarily need to load the images which you're not seeing yet. Deferring off-screen images simply means that a little bit of a script is added to each image to tell them that they'll be loaded in afterwards, after the more high priority items, things that you see above the fold. So we've discussed caching systems and a few other plugins. Usually a lot of these allow you to defer off-screen images fairly easily. There's usually a setting which you can just select that will make all of this work automatically. We're almost there, guys. Number 5. Ensure that text remains visible during web font load. What this means is that when you're loading in custom web fonts, sometimes no text appears at all until the web font is loaded, and then all of a sudden you're seeing all of the text. By simply adding one small bit of code to any declaration that tells the browser to load in a custom web font means that there is a small flicker between the web fonts, but ensures that your text is visible right away when someone loads the page. It then just simply changes from one font to the other. We'll include the code that you can use, whether you use Google Fonts or some other solution, in the description of this video. If we've not covered your specific platform, please let us know, we'd be happy to help. Cool, I'm starting to run out of fingers, but we've got number 6. Reduce the impact of third-party code. Loading things like live chat widgets, analytics, or trackers can sometimes delay how fast the website loads. So anytime a third-party service like Google Analytics, Hotjar, HubSpot asks you to insert a bit of code into your website, think carefully. Some of these scripts are really important, so it's best to first wait up whether you want to increase your page speed score or load in that script. A lot of this can be resolved though by loading the scripts once everything else on the page has loaded in. As an example, we initially introduced a live chat widget to our website from HubSpot. The page speed score was affected by 20 points. So what we did, rather than loading in the script right away, we added a little bit of custom code that meant we only load in their scripts when either someone hits the Get in Touch button or scrolls down the page. This means that the initial page load time is really quick, and we still get to use the live chat widget, which is great for offering another way for our visitors to communicate with us. Number 7. That's 8 fingers. Number 7. Minify Javascript and style sheets. This simply means that you're sending through a file which is nicely formatted as a developer would work with it. But what you really want to do is get rid of all the white spaces and add some optimizations to it. Normally that will be covered with a caching plugin that you use, so this might go away once you install a caching system. If it doesn't and you'd like to do things yourself, you can check out loads of online websites which minify JavaScript for you, and you can just upload your files there first and then upload them to your hosting. You might want to know why you want to minify JavaScript and style sheets, and it's simply to reduce the file size and therefore send less data to the visitor, improving the page speed score and ensuring that you're not wasting someone's bandwidth. Right, on to number 8. Serve static files with an efficient cache policy. Again, this is something that should be resolved once you have a caching system or Cloudflare in place. But what this means is that you now tell the visitor's browser to store some of your website's files for a longer period of time. Things that don't change much, static files, which could be images, so your style sheets or your scripts, can be cached on the visitor's browser for longer, meaning they don't have to be constantly sent back from your server onto their computer. Number 9. Avoid an excessive DOM size. DOM stands for Document Object Model. It's essentially all of the HTML code that makes up your website. And if you're getting this warning and you had a developer build your website for you specifically, then you should get in touch with them, as likely there are some optimizations that can put in place to make that code more accessible and smaller in size. However, if you've used an off-the-shelf theme or a website builder, this is unfortunately kind of an unavoidable issue that comes from it, because they tend to use loads of excessively big DOM structures in order to allow for the flexibility that comes with something that you can just drag and drop when you're building it out. Alright, we're on to final point number 10. Remove unused JavaScript and CSS. Some styles and scripts don't need to be loaded on every single page. It's pointless to load them because they don't affect anything on that page. So, if you had someone build a website for you, you should get in touch with them, as they should put more efficient code in place to ensure that you're only loading in the styles and scripts that a web page would need. However, if you've used an off-the-shelf theme or a website builder, then like I said before, it's just a consequence of that solution, and you can't really do anything about it, because the time it takes to go through and fix it is likely longer than the time it would take to just rebuild the website from scratch. Thanks so much for staying with me. Just a few final words. One, we didn't cover all of the things that Pagespeed Insights might throw at you. We discovered some of the, in our experience, most common issues that arise from new websites. If there is something that you have a hard time understanding or would like us to explain a little bit better, please let us know in the comments below the issue that you're facing. You can just copy and paste from Pagespeed and we'll be happy to answer it for you. If you made it this far, you deserve a high five. Check out the links below, subscribe to our list of business owners and decision makers that get one free marketing video every single week delivered straight to their inbox. We'll offer some more details on the page about how you can get a free discovery session and get Cabana experts, interesting sound, get Cabana experts to help you out, rank higher in Google, make more money through your website, and get your business thriving online. Cheers!